It's been one of the biggest issues dividing Republicans and Democrats in Concord, a school choice bill that would set up a system of education savings accounts. Supporters say that money would allow students to escape failing public schools. Critics contend it will be a drain on school resources at the local level and require more spending at the state level as well. Here this morning to discuss Senate Bill 193 are two state representatives who are always in the thick of the education policy debate. We have Representative Glenn Cordelli, a Republican from Tuftonboro, correct, and Representative Tamara Ley from Northampton, a Democrat. Thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate
it. My pleasure.
Representative Cordelli, let's start with you. New Hampshire has fairly good public schools. U.S. News and World Report, I think, ranked us number 3 in the country in 2017, and yet you feel this is an option that is needed to help certain students. Why support SB 193?
New Hampshire does have great schools, but even in great schools, it might not be the best fit for every child. Those children need options. Our primary interest is the best education possible for every child in New Hampshire, whether that be a public school, a private school, homeschooling, charter school, whatever. My intent with this legislation and supporting this legislation is to try and help those children who might not be the best fit in a local public school, to give them options.
Representative Ley, options sound like a good idea, but Democrats say there are costs here. Explain why you're opposed to SB 193.
Well, honestly, I think choice is always good, but this particular bill, it's just not ready for prime time. I think we've got financial issues. It's going to cost a fortune at this point. It's not a choice for any child who has a disability, because as we all know, private schools, according to IDEA law, do not have to service IEP plans. And I think probably the biggest gainer in this bill would be religious schools, and they don't even have to comply with ADA regs. So that's no wheelchair ramps, that's no elevators. So I feel like it's choice for a very select few. And also in that, I think with the public school, if you don't like it, get on your school board. You have a voice, you can make changes. And quite honestly, that's how I got into politics, was getting involved, engaged in my local school, on my school board, and advocating for change that way.
Representative Cordelli, Representative Ley mentioned religious schools. That is one of the bigger question marks here, is constitutionality. There's a very high threshold in the New Hampshire Constitution saying that public tax dollars should not go to any sect or educational institution of a sect or denomination. How does SB 193 work its way around that roadblock?
I think you started out with the explanation in that these are education savings accounts. These are accounts where the money goes to the parent, and it's then parental choice, which is the key, as to the best direction for their child's education. It could be a private school, it could be a religious school, it could be some combination of other educational services like online classes. We've had multiple U.S. Supreme Court decisions that speak to the constitutionality of a program like this. The Zellman case back in 2002, and just this past summer, the Trinity Lutheran case. Both came down on the side of school choice. And even the day after the Trinity Lutheran case this summer, the Supreme Court vacated decisions of 2 state Supreme Courts, and they're ruling against religious school options. So I think that made a clear statement as to the direction that the Supreme Court of the land views the school choice issue and the options for parents.
Representative Ley, is SB 193 constitutional?
No, not at all. And I think the court, perhaps the Zellman case holds water, but the previous case Representative Cordelli is referring to had to do with a playground. And there's a lot of difference between providing public tax dollars to help resurface a playground in an inner city community that just happens to belong to a religious school, and sending a child to a school where a religious curriculum is part of the mandated process. It's to me, it's significantly different. It's a black and white issue, and I think that will be something that would wind up in our Supreme Court.
I can see you want to respond to this.
Yeah, if I might, the past House session, we passed a bill that provided state funds to college savings accounts. It passed on a voice vote. In that bill, there is no restriction on where those college funds can be used. They can be used for the child to go to a religious college. But that argument did not seem to surface in relation to that bill or the college savings accounts. And I'm puzzled by that. And I think both are fine, actually.
And this bill is in front of House Finance right now. They're digging into the dollars and cents. Representative Lay, you serve on the school board in Northampton.
I do.
What are potentially, from your viewpoint, the financial impacts of SB 193 on the local level?
Well, according to our financial, our business director, the 1% reduction would cost us around $90,000. And 5%, just based solely on free and reduced lunch data points, would be close to $500,000. And that's a lot of money. We're fortunate in that Winnacunnet High School just won the Eddie Award for a school of excellence. We're state football champs. But there's 21 or 22 private high schools within 25 miles of us. So there already is competition. And we have taken the dollars we have, used them very wisely. And any cut in that is going to be, it's going to hurt students. It could drive down property values. And if you live on the seacoast, one of the big reasons you move there is for the good schools. And if the schools are compromised, your property values are going to go down. One other thing I just want to add is that in the state of New Hampshire, our state only pays for 34% of the cost of public education. That is 46th in the country. The national average is 45%. Locally, our taxpayers pay 60% of the cost of public schools. The national average, again, is about 44 or 45%. We're second highest. And I think any withdrawal, any lowering of that fund, boy, I tell you, who's going to get stuck is the local taxpayer.
Well, Representative Cordelli, how do you mitigate the potential loss of funds at the local level?
Several things. First of all, we have to look at the participation rate, not the percentage of total enrollment. We look historically at the states who have implemented education savings accounts. Mississippi and Tennessee, the most recent ones, less than 1% have taken ESAs. In Florida, which is started their program in 2014, it's 3%, and the oldest program in Arizona, it's 2% of eligible students taking ESAs. So we're looking at 1% of eligible students possibly taking an ESA, and according to numbers we've gotten from the Department of Education, that 1% of eligible students could be something in the order of 840 students statewide, where in the past 4 years, state enrollment has declined by 9,000 students. So I think we're talking small numbers here and small district impact, but for the lives of the children, it can change lives.
And from a big picture perspective here, the world we're living in seems to be moving away from the idea of one size fits all. And in public education, there is sort of this tacit admission that it doesn't work out for some students. They drop out, they fall through the cracks. Should we not be embracing a more individualized approach here, Representative Lay? Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. And in fact, our school and our school board is moving toward that. In fact, Representative Cordelli and I actually agree on this, that personalized education is a very good thing. I do have to go back to your percentages, though. The data points that I have read are much different. Arizona is up to about 6% participation, and quite frankly, in 2018 there's going to be a
potential for citizens in Arizona to actually vote down vouchers. In Florida, it's more like 7% participation rate, and so I think we have to be careful in looking at those numbers. And I think the Senate Finance Committee
a final
will
word
look
here.
at those.
But just your thoughts on the big picture here of individualizing this, but using it in a way that is controversial here.
I go back to maybe some people far wiser than me. One of them is noted author and economist Thomas Sowell, who once said, the basic question is not what is best, but who says what is best. I believe it is parents.
All right. Representative Glenn Cordelli and Representative Tamara Ley, thank you so much for coming on to debate this issue. We appreciate your time.